Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the the Business Freedom Formula podcast. Today's guest is Dana Carter of Carter's Pre-Court Legal Services. Dana, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your business and what it is you do for us, please?
Okay, absolutely. A lot of people think what I do is mediation, and I am a court-appointed mediator for both Texas and Louisiana. But what I do is instead of people going to lawyers, they come to me. And what I do is resolve the legal cases outside of court. So I am a legal negotiator. I do not lawyer. I do not tell you what you cannot do. I can't uh, do certain things, certain types of negotiations. However, I can say, hey, these are your options. What would you like to do? And so people are step by step, they're basically informed during the entire journey. It's not like I go away and not say anything and then come back and say, hey, your case, I did such and such, but we hadn't heard from that person, right? I'm going to produce everything. I'm going to let you know, hey, I talked to the DA's office. I did such and such today. They want to know this. And I'll, ask questions and relay messages and stuff like that. But they're a part of the journey the entire way, as far as the clients are concerned.
Okay, so then you keep up a running dialogue with your client so that they know where they are every step of the way that it goes and who you've spoken with and maybe who you haven't been able to get to yet so they know that you're not stalling.
Right,
Okay,
right, right.
already.
Now, the other part to that is I am kind of a bulldog, so to speak, right? So
Okay,
let's say I get in touch with the CEO. This is the decision maker. And so this person may give me a little bit of resistance because that is the person in power and they're going to protect their business, right?
sure,
And so I
yes.
may say, look, this is the evidence. This is A, B, and C was done. And this is what needs to happen moving forward, right? And
Mhm.
so I can create the opportunity for settlement. But if they choose not to settle, I can say, okay, if you don't want to settle, I can always report, right? And
Right.
so that becomes a different journey because uh, nobody wants to be reported directly
Yeah.
because I have some authority working with the courts and being just a legit person. When
Mhm.
I go to the attorney general, it's not the same as the client going to the attorney
Right.
general. I go and I say to the attorney general or to the DOJ, hey, this is happening at this particular job. This person tried A, B, C, and D. They follow protocol. We tried to, negotiate something, and these people refuse to bow. They're not gonna budge, right?
Okay.
And because of the violations may be pretty huge, it
Mm.
may be something that it's happened across the board. So
Sure.
I can go to the DOJ and say, well, since they don't want to deal with us and they don't want to face the facts, we know that it's not just our person, it's 50 other people.
Sure.
So we're asking for you to investigate this situation and blah blah blah. And
Okay.
so what this is where the client rests, because once the DOJ, the attorney general, whoever comes in and investigate, it's their lawyers that take them to court, not us.
Okay. So I would assume then that your services are are far more manageable budget wise for somebody than hiring an attorney outright.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then Dana, at what stage would you say your business is in? Are you a startup? Are you kind of like in a growth stage or um
I'm in a growth stage, but I've been doing this for over 10 years.
oh,
Right
okay.
now, this is probably, I would say I'm seasoned in my profession,
Okay.
and I'm probably one of the top people that you can find doing this type of work because I
Okay.
actually get things done. I would say I'm at a 98% success rate. I've done cases with the FDIC, JP Morgan and Chase. all kinds of cases where, sometimes they just settle because they don't know what I'm capable of. When you're in a
Sure.
courtroom, the attorney, they have a pattern and they have policies and stuff that they have to follow. You don't know, or the CEO doesn't know if I'm going to protest. They don't know who I'm going to talk to. They don't know how far up the chain I can go. They just have no idea what I'm capable of. They don't know if I can find someone like you to do an interview for my client and
Sure.
expose the whole thing.
Sure.
So because they don't know what I'm capable of, a lot of times once they hear me talk and their lawyers, the corporate lawyers hear me talk, they
Mhm.
know I know enough to hurt them. So a
Okay.
lot of times they say, well, what do y'all want? What do
Yeah.
y'all
Yeah.
really want?
Right. Yeah.
And
It's
they're more apt to they're more open to compromise a little bit and do a settlement, um, as opposed to dealing with the government.
right. Okay. Well, do you have associates, or are you a pardon the expression, a one man band, so to speak?
So I went to school at Ohio Dominican for political science and sociology. Um, Probably well, I want to say I interned first. And I thought I was finished, but I still had a few more credits. So I transferred years later to the University of Arizona for law school. And of course, with the loans and stuff, you're going
Yeah.
through
Oh, I
with that
know.
type.
I
Yeah.
know.
But
My
I
my
also,
MBA loans are enough to kill me.
right,
So
right, right. So, so you're still paying for it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Ouch, every month.
yeah. But in 2023, I was able to secure my intelligence analyst certification.
All right.
And so the government, our government, does know me from sending in stuff.
Okay.
So whether they want to hear from me or not, they hear from me. And, sometimes they need to hear a direct voice,
Mhm,
a non-biased voice when it comes to the left and the right.
mhm.
Because I have shared opinions from both groups, but I'm not biased as far as having selective evil, or thinking, oh, this only this group is wrong. It's like, no,
Right.
everybody is wrong at this point. So I try to insert myself in at certain points and say, hey, we agree, but let's look at it from this perspective and see how we can get this done, because
Okay.
this is what serves the people and not just these two little groups that's acting like little children.
Right.
So I've been pretty successful. I'm still here and alive. I'm not underneath the White House jail or
Yeah,
nothing
you're
like
not.
that,
So,
um
um, so realistically, then, because of what you do, you really
mhm.
don't have um your practice isn't niched in like labor law or consumer problems,
No.
or
My
so yours
practice
is rather
is
broad then, right?
right. It's rather broad because I wanted it that way, because I wanted variety.
Okay.
And this does help me to prepare for, once I actually become a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have that background of already having cases and already
Sure.
doing high level negotiations.
Right.
And
And
so I'll like right now, I can say employee discrimination is probably one of my top ones.
okay.
But lately, I'm getting a lot of CPS cases and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you
Yeah,
know,
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah. So from from your years of experience here, what do you think is the biggest challenge in your business?
finding people that understand their economic needs, right? Because my pricing range is pretty low compared to an attorney, of course.
Right.
But I also get money on the back end. We do have a scale that, if I secure a certain amount, I get a certain amount, right?
Sure.
So that's what helps me to be able to keep the prices low. But
Mhm.
even as low as I have it, and that their payment covers them for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
it's still not feasible for a lot of people because they are living below the poverty line.
Sure, sure. And it's the most vulnerable that seem to be the
Right,
ones that need the most help. Yeah,
right.
I can understand that. I can understand that. So, is there anything specifically you've tried to deal with this where you can work with your clients more or help them? Because basically I'm going to say it's probably a financial burden for them, right?
It's not necessarily a financial burden.
Mm-hmm.
They are already in a system, or they have a mentality that has caused this situation that they can't afford the services, right? And
Okay.
so I address the root cause. Well, hey, you can't afford us, but what you can do is, if you go and you get someone who need our services and they sign up, hey, we'll take your case for free.
Okay.
A free exchange, a good
Sure.
exchange. We
Right.
don't lose out, and they have taken the time to invest in themselves in order to get it. Now, sometimes I may meet parents, or I may meet people who, they're trying to get their kids back,
Mm-hmm.
and they live in a certain area. And I say, well, how is the house? And, because I need to understand, what am I bringing these kids back to? And you're
Mm-hmm.
telling me that they're about to be placed in a home that with some rich people. I can't send them back to, a low income area where they're going to be struggling. So, I go through, various questions about, well, how much do you plan on paying, monthly fees as far as groceries? The light bill's going to go up because it's kids, and you
Right.
got 4 kids that's coming back,
Yeah.
right? And so when I hear resistance, um, oh, well, they should just give me my kids because they're my kids. But ma'am, can you take care of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you plan to do? Do you need me to help you get employment? I could take a look at your resume and I can help you secure a higher paying job.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes they don't want it.
No.
They don't want to
No.
change. And
I.
so I have to tell them, I can't take
Yeah.
your case.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things. I think, Dana, you would agree with me on this, and I think everybody listening would agree with me on this. You can't make someone change. They
Right.
have to want to,
Right.
and you can lay it all out for them,
Right.
and they'll still turn their nose up and walk away because it's not what they want. And
Right.
there's
Well,
not much more you can do.
the
So.
sometimes it is a development situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is an educational situation where they don't really make those type of connections because no one has ever told them that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're hearing a mother's voice or a father's voice who's talk like that for the first time. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's immediate, oh no, we don't want to change. And I'm like, well, you don't want your kids. And
Yeah.
so you have to allow space and time for them to hurt a little bit. And some do come back and say, you know what, you're right. I do need to dress up for court. I do need to handle myself a certain way. Hey, I don't have, family that truly supports me. I do need you to help me to build my support circle.
Right.
Right. And so it doesn't happen a lot, but you do have some people where the light bulb comes on and they say, you know what, I need to grow
Right.
up.
And one of the things in my background, I did a lot of training in software.
Okay.
And when someone struggled and then all of a sudden you could see it in their face, the light went on, they understood.
Yeah.
I can see that. And you seem to be very passionate about what you do and very involved. And
Hmm.
I applaud you for that. I think that's a
Oh,
wonderful
thanks.
thing that you do. And we probably need more people doing it. Um, Let me ask, have you tried something? What have you tried to kind of reduce this, to make it easier for people to work with you that maybe are on the edge?
So
I mean, now you did
sometimes,
talk about if you can get somebody to sign up for me, I can do this pro bono, so to speak. Um, if I'm saying that correctly and not
well,
miss
we don't want to say pro bono because that's
but
kind of like,
but
well, there's two things that I do. I do have payment plans.
Hmm.
And I have the thing where, you know, you bring someone in and then your service is for free. But I also sometimes it depends on what the need is, because sometimes the need may be just to get the ball rolling until they find a lawyer or somebody that they want. Because some
Right.
of them, they want to go to court. The court, they want to have their Perry Mason moment. They
Right.
want to be, you know, in
Yeah.
the courts, and they, you know, and so you can't change those type of personalities. So I might say, well, do you need me to write a legal letter, a demand letter? And
Hmm.
so they might say, yeah. So sometimes, depending upon what the situation is, a demand letter can cost from $200 to $600. It depends on what I'm writing and who
Right.
I'm writing it to.
Sure. Well, that sounds wonderful. Wow, you sound like you're a very busy woman, and you offer, I would say, a service that is very much in need, um, by a lot of people. I mean, because we don't all always need a lawyer.
Right.
Sometimes we just need, sometimes it's
Sometimes you
like,
need somebody to hold people accountable,
right,
you know?
right. And I can tell by talking to you that you have a very forceful personality. I
Yeah.
do not,
Hmm.
okay? But I would not be adverse to hiring someone like yourself to go talk for me, because I am not a confrontational personality.
Right.
Okay. I need to get my brother who will, anyway, I digress. Anyway, wow. Well, I wish you the best of luck. And thank you so much for joining us. And
Yeah. Thanks for
everyone,
having me. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. This will be, if you look down below in the comments, you'll see ways to contact Dana Carter and her organization. Again, Dana, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and you have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Mhm.